Hello and welcome to Mr. Paul's Pantry. I'm Mr. Paul and today I'm going to show you how to make English fruited scones. The type of thing you have afternoon tea. Scones, where I come from in Yorkshire, they're scones and that's what I'm going to call them. So let's do it. So here are the ingredients. 500 grams of plain flour. I always use plain flour. If I want to use self-raising flour, I put some baking powder in it. It saves buying two different flours for me. So it's 500 grams of plain flour or all-purpose flour, whichever you call it. It's a teaspoon of salt. It's 3 teaspoons of baking powder, not baking soda. That's completely different. Baking powder. And when I say teaspoons, I don't mean any old spoon out of your cutlery drawer. There's 100 different sizes and shapes and not one of them measures a teaspoon. I use one of these for measuring mine. A little set of those cost just a few coppers. Well worth it. So, on top of that we've got 125 grams of butter. We've got 60 grams of sugar. That can be caster or it can be granulated, it doesn't matter. I've got 1 egg and I also have 80 grams of dried fruit. Now that can be sultanas, it can be currants, it could be raisins, whichever you want. I personally prefer sultanas. And some milk. Now I'll tell you how much milk when we start adding it all together, that's important, okay? Let's get on. Right, now I'm going to use a stand mixer because just because I use it all the time. You can mix this by hand just as if you're making pastry, rub the butter in, it doesn't make any difference. So there goes in the flour, that's 500 grams remember, 500 grams of plain flour, teaspoon of salt, 3 teaspoons of baking powder. And don't forget, teaspoons means a measure like that, and baking powder is that, not baking soda. It must say baking powder or levadura if you're in Spain, okay? So we're going to mix that together gently. Now we're going to add the butter. 125 grams of butter. Crumb type mixture, breadcrumb type mixture. And while that's mixing, I'll just explain, if you can hear me over the noise, I'll explain about the egg and the milk. You need to use a scale, crack the egg into the jug on the scale. Okay? Then make up the weight of the egg to 240 grams. That's including the milk and the egg. And give a slight whisk. Right? Now we're going to add the fruit and give that a slight mix. Not rapid. And while that's mixing slowly, I'm going to add the liquid, the milk and the egg. Now once all the dry flour has been taken up, that's when it's ready to come out. It will be a soft dough, it will be slightly sticky, but it should be handleable. Okay? If it's very sticky and sticks everywhere, you've got too much liquid. Now, flour the board a little, don't need a lot of flour. When you're rolling pastry or anything like that out, don't use a lot of flour, because remember you've already weighed the flour into the recipe. If you start adding more flour, you're upsetting the recipe, okay? Yes, it's easy done. Just gather all this together now, any bits that are crumbling off. We don't want to knead it like bread, we just want to push it together. Okay, a nice soft dough. And roll it out to about 2.5 centimetres thick. In old money that's an inch to you and me, okay? I still work in inches sometimes, but I get told off about it all. Now this will make 12 scones. Take a cutter, it can either be a serrated cutter like this, a fancy cutter, or a plain round one. It doesn't make any difference. But always flour it in between each cut. That's important. Straight down, don't mess about with it. Like that. Don't twist it, just shake it so it doesn't stick to the work surface. And if you notice, I'm turning them over so the flattest side is going to be uppermost, ready to take the egg wash. Do that with all 12 of your scones. Now all we have to do now is place them on the tray neatly. I've got my oven set at 180, that's for a fan oven, 200 for a non-fan oven, okay, yes. So, and we need to egg wash those thoroughly. Now, make sure you've got plenty of egg wash on top, and don't take a blind bit of notice of Mary Berry, who tells you if any runs down the side, it'll stop the scone rising. Well, I've news for her. I know she's been cooking a lot longer than me, but you put eggs in a cake to make it rise. Why it should stop the scones rising, I have no idea. But make sure you've got a nice coating, at least on the top, even if some has run down the side. That's my little treat there. I'll just put a bit of egg wash on that. And now these are going to go into the oven, as I said, for about 11 minutes. Okay, 11 minutes at 180 with a fan oven, 200 a non-fan. Okay, let's get them in the oven. Well, here we are, 11 minutes in the oven, and, excuse me, perfect scones. Absolutely beautiful. No problems. Nice and light. Put them on a cooling rack. Just for about 10 minutes, and then they'll be ready to eat, okay? Then they'll be ready to eat. So, test time, or taste time, shall I say. It's time for a cup of tea, and I'm going to try one of these afternoon tea scones. You'll notice I'm only having butter and jam on mine. The simple reason I shouldn't be having this at all, because I'm diabetic. So this is a real treat for me. I think the last time I had something like this was about 5 or 6 weeks ago. So anyway, cheers, and I hope to see you next time. If you've liked this video, please give it a like. If you have any comments, put them in the comments below this video. And if you have any suggestions or requests, I'll see what I can do about them, okay? And if you haven't subscribed, press the red subscribe button below as well. And then you'll be informed of any new videos that I post on YouTube. Bye and cheers. Muy bueno. Delicioso. Delicious. Bye.